Hi everyone, and thank you for joining me for some virtual vitamin Z as we bring the Detroit Zoo to you. My name is Claire and I'm a curator of education with the Detroit Zoological Society, where we are celebrating and saving wildlife. And if you joined us on Monday, we talked a little bit about insects and how important they are to the global ecosystem. So today we're going to revisit insects and check out some of the amazing insects that you all created that could camouflage in with different surroundings in your home or around your home. So let's start back in talking about what those different types of camouflage are. We have blending, pattern, disguise, and mimicry. So we'll show you some of the examples of real insects that use those different types of camouflage, and then I'll show you some of the different ones that you all created. So let's start by reviewing very quickly what insects are. Insects have 3 different body parts: that head, thorax, abdomen, and the 3 pairs of legs, so 6 total. Some insects have wings and some do not. And there are a lot of insects out there in the world. In fact, they outnumber us about 1 billion insects to every 1 human being. And this is a visual representation of what that number 1 billion looks like. These are stacks of pennies in the shape and size of school buses, and it would take 5 of those school bus sized stacks of pennies to equal 1 billion. And remember, that's 1 billion insects for every single human being who live on Earth. So they definitely outnumber us. Insects are really important. They contribute billions of dollars to our economy by doing things such as pollinate. So they travel from flower to flower, moving that pollen around and allowing those flowers to create seeds and fruits that humans and non-human animals depend on to survive. They also break down a whole bunch of old material, so rotting plants and other material that needs to be rotted and broken down and returned into that nutrient cycle so new plants can grow. Insects are there doing that job for us too. So while I'm about to show you all the amazing insects that you've created, I've actually created 3 different insects and I've hidden them into my remote work area. So if you think you can spot an insect that's somewhere in my view screen here, make sure you type it into the comments where you think you see this insect and what he or she looks like. And at the end of it, I will share that out with everybody as to where the 3 different insects are hiding. So for right now, let's start by talking about one of the first types of camouflage, and that's blending. So blending is when an animal's body matches its surroundings with the colorations. So closely that you can't tell where those insects are unless you're really paying attention close. So these are 2 pictures from my friend Dante, who I've done some work down in the Amazon rainforest with. And you can see this insect right here in the middle is completely blended in, as is this caterpillar over here. So this is kind of a funny story. About a week before I put all this curriculum together to share with you, I shared out what I was going to do with one of my friends. So she wanted to get in on the action, and she created an insect and then put it up in her kitchen. And as far as I know, her husband hasn't noticed it yet. This insect is hiding literally in plain sight because it blends in so perfectly with its surroundings. So you might be looking at this picture thinking, well, I don't see this insect either. Let me help you point out where it is. So there it is. It's the exact same color, size, and shape as one of the backsplash tiles, and just chilling there right next to the stove. And I can't wait to see how long it is before he realizes that that insect's been staring back at him all this time. So next up is our pattern. So patterns are most commonly thought of as camouflage on animals like tigers or zebras. And in insects, this is a black-patched cracker butterfly that lives in our care at the Detroit Zoo. It's this coloration and pattern that make it really hard to tell where wings start, body starts, and if it was hiding underneath a tree where the sunlight was coming down, it'd be really hard to see this butterfly. So we didn't have anybody make any patterned insects, but we did have a whole bunch of submissions in the next category, which is disguise. So disguise, these are 2 more pictures from my friend Dante. These animals look just like something else. So you can see the leaf mimics over here, all the way up to the irregular shape of their leaves and the coloration, to this guy over here that unless a bird was flying over and actually saw him moving, it'd be really hard to pick him out from the leaves that he was living on. So let's check out some of the disguises that you all created. This one is called Mr. Sticks, and he's disguised to look like a stem and hiding in this plant somewhere in their house. So he dies in both with the coloration and with the shape and size. He looks almost exactly like that flower stem right there. So well done with Mr. Sticks. I think that he'd probably be passed up by a predator. This one Didn't come with a name, but I thought it was really clever. This is a marker insect tied into the midst of a whole pile of markers here. And again, this is a pretty good disguise. Unless you were really looking to see which one of these markers had eyes and legs, you might miss him. So here he is right here. He's the yellow marker in the middle. And he's disguised really well. And it's really important for these insects to be able to hide because they're low on the food chain, which means a lot of predators are coming out to look and eat insects. So the better they can blend in, the more of a chance they have for survival. Let's check out our next one. This is another disguise, and this one was titled, "Orange You Glad I'm Not an Insect." So this is got 6 legs, so it's qualifying as an insect here, hanging out in the citrus bowl with those fun-looking eyes and some, it looks like toothpick legs. So well done on Orange You Glad I'm Not an Insect. I am glad. However, if you were hiding in an orange tree, I think it'd be really hard to pick out this insect. This one was called Button Bug. And if you can see our button bug here, hiding on the side of this sweater, it's disguised because it's actually made out of a button, which means it looks just like the buttons on your clothes. And while the coloration might not let this button bug blend in if that sweater was blue, the button disguise still works really well for an insect that's hiding in your closet. I can only hope that this insect doesn't eat clothes because this family might be in trouble with their button bug. Our next type of camouflage is mimicry. So this is when an animal has the same coloration and features as another one to hide from predators or to let predators know, hey, don't eat me. And one of the best examples of this was the monarch. Monarchs don't taste good. In fact, they can make some of their predators ill if the bird was to come down and eat that monarch. So the viceroy has coloration looks almost exactly like the monarch. So as a bird's flying by, it can't tell the difference between a monarch and a viceroy. They're just going to avoid them altogether, keeping the viceroy safe. And you can see the only difference here is this little line on the bottom of their wing that goes horizontal, whereas the monarch has those long, lean streaks. And over here we have the wasp beetle. This one has the same coloration as a wasp, but it's just a harmless plant-eating insect. But just in case this might be a wasp with a stinger that could hurt it, a predator is not going to attack it. And we have a great example that someone made of mimicry. They actually modeled this butterfly off of an owl butterfly, which I'll show you an actual photograph of. But you can see those 2 big eyes on the bottom of the wings. That's so when the butterfly opens up their wings, it looks like there's an owl staring back at that predator. So if a bird's getting ready to swoop down and eat that the owl butterfly, he or she might think that it's an owl staring back at him, and owls eat birds, and it might think twice. So I thought this was a really clever way to show this mimicry. And here's a picture of the owl butterfly, so you can see those 2 big eyes on the back. Again, scaring off predators that might come for it. So I thought that one was a really neat one too. Then we had 2 insects that came in that didn't fit in necessarily with the blend in and camouflage, but were really fun, and I have to share them with you. So this one's name is Lady Glitter Sparkles, which if memory serves might be a character in one of the Trolls movies, and this certainly does justice to Lady Glitter Sparkles. Sparkly legs, there's really cool big giant purple eyes. And then the ball on the back is really pretty. It almost sparkles in the picture. I'm not sure how well you can see that translated through, but I thought that was really neat. So this is Lady Glitter Sparkles. So thank you for sending me a picture of this insect. And then we had another one that was made out of some toys they had around the house. And this one didn't come with a title. It was just called My Insect. But you can see we've got 6 legs here. We've got 2 wings on the side and some antennas on the front. So this was another really exciting one to kind of share out with you all, that someone made this insect and wanted you to see it. All right. Now, was anybody able to pick out any of the insects in my remote workplace? Did you see any insects in this space? So guess for a few moments more while I would go over some of the important skills that we practice by creating these insects. First off, you got to practice some creativity, right? You got to think outside the box, look around, find some items, repurpose them, find a new way to use them. And you all did an amazing job coming up with these different insects. I'm so impressed. We also practiced the concept of camouflage. It's one thing to kind of hear about it, but it's something else when you actually start practicing it and deciding, well, what type of camouflage am I going to use? And if this is the habitat that my insect lives in, what does he or she need to look like in order to live there? And we planned an investigation. In fact, my friend who put that backsplash tile one up, her investigation's still going. We still don't know when her husband's going to notice it, but I bet he will soon. All right, are you ready to see the insects that are in my space? Here's one. Ooh, I don't want to tear him up too bad, but he was hanging out on the back. So my wall was yellow, so I made a yellow insect with those 3 body parts, head, thorax, abdomen, and his 6 legs. So he was hanging out on the back wall. In fact, there's a little piece of him still there. I have another one over here on my globe. This is just a little insect, and this one is blue, so matched with the oceans a little bit here. And this one does have wings, and again, those 3 body parts. And the last one is the toughest one to see of all. There he is. So this one was disguised with wings that look almost the exact same as the plant that's hanging out back here, and I actually had to look twice to find him when I just went to bring him up and share him with you. So this one must be disguised pretty good and is probably going to avoid being a predator, being eaten by a predator. All right, so thanks for joining me today to learn a little bit more about insects. Like I mentioned, they're so incredibly important to the global ecosystem, and that's why they have all those amazing camouflages so they can hide from their predators, since they're such an important part of that food chain. We have a bunch more virtual vitamin Z available for you on our website, DetroitZoo.org. Check out some written lesson activities, some videos, live cameras of some of the different animals in their habitats, and we'll have more virtual vitamin Z for you back on Facebook soon. Stay safe, take care of each other.